Welcome everybody to the October 2023 Front of Masters Hangout. We're going to talk about everything that's new in Front of Masters, and then we'll cover a few things that's been going on in the industry. So first of all, we have a question here on our plans for backend content. If you go to frontofmasters.com/learn/fullstack, you'll see we have a ton of stuff. We have everything from the basics of command line to, actually deploying servers to Docker, SQL, VIM, AWS, containers, and then intro to DevOps. And I think that encompasses everything that we want to as far as software development. So although we have the intro to DevOps course, and then we just recently recorded enterprise DevOps, building a full-scaled network in the cloud. I think that's as far as we're going to go into like the DevOps world for now. We'll probably reassess next year, but I think whenever it gets too far outside of like actually writing code, developing software, I think that's where I don't think we want to get too far outside of actually writing code to ship things. So that's where it's like we have Go, we have Python, we have actually setting up your server and deploying code, but it's all around actually writing code. And I think we get into, writing code as infrastructure a little bit in that enterprise DevOps course, but I think that's as far as we're going to go for now. I don't think we're going to, unless like Front End Masters gets way bigger and we have like another, branch of the content team that can focus on things like security and Linux and, diving into really deep into that stuff. Like, I just don't have a whole lot of expertise in that area. I'm not sure how to curate the right teachers in that area. Obviously, eventually we'll get to things like .NET and maybe even PHP, even though I've avoided it for a while. But PHP does have a special place in my heart. But yeah, I think we'll cover all of the main server-side languages. Obviously, we have Go, we have Python as well, and Rust. We'll cover all the main ones. I think we shipped Java, a Java course, and I think there's a lot of great jobs in the Java ecosystem, in the Python ecosystem, in the .NET, and so eventually we'll probably have Ruby as well. But yeah, I think the ones that we're missing are Ruby, PHP, and .NET. Otherwise, we have pretty much anything you wanted to build. Obviously we have tons of Node.js content, and then we'll be doing more Go next year. So hopefully that's a comprehensive answer to your question, because I want to focus on building and shipping code. But I'll move on to the Front of Masters updates. So wrapping up last month. Last month was obviously the big exploration promotion that we did. That went super well. Like, thank you everybody who shared about it and promoted all the new things that we released. That was extremely fun. It means that we have like a really strong, stable business going into 2024. Having that many people kind of join on our yearly plans, it's awesome. And it looks like everybody's loving the new search feature. We have it on frontofmasters.com and integrated in the player, and we've received lots of good feedback, like queries that people thought should show something, but it showed something else or whatever. We fixed a lot of those things, and in general, just people are thrilled that they're able to search the entire platform, search transcripts. If you're watching a course, you can see exactly where a keyword is mentioned throughout any of our courses and jump to that timestamp, which is pretty sweet. Prime's VIM course is great. Went through half of it, and I'm already maining NVim, NeoVim, and pretty confident after 2 weeks. That's amazing. It's like always been on my checklist. Like, I would love to at least dive into where I had working knowledge of Vim and NeoVim, but I have not taken the dive myself yet. So congrats to you, man, for taking that dive. It's obvious that Prime is incredibly fast. He's faster than anyone I've seen, moving around files and editing files and stuff like that. So I'm definitely jealous when I see him fly through the keyboard. Next, we have 20 workshops left for the rest of the year. So obviously we're in October. That's really the rest of October, and then November and December. Yeah, that's not very long, and we have 20 workshops. So it's going to be a really busy fall for us in the studio. We're recording stuff on TypeScript. Scott Moss is going to drop some more stuff on AI. We got Steve Kinney talking about Tailwind and Vite. We've got engineering managers from Netflix giving us engineering management 101 and 102. We've got Primogen coming back with performance and algorithms, and he's even doing an intro to HTMX. And then we have the Google team teaching Angular. We've got David Khorshid coming back with animations, and then we've got Marcy Sutton on accessibility. So we have an awesome fall workshop season planned. It's going to be rocking, so definitely join us on frontendmasters.com chat. Like, put those on your calendar, RSVP to the ones. You go to frontendmasters.com/workshops, plural, to RSVP to those. And if you're interested in coming to any of those workshops in person, let us know. There is actually a link on the top of the workshop pages for in-person. That kind of brings you to our in-person form. But yeah, if you're able to make it to Minneapolis, we'd love to see you in person. That'd be fun. We have like only a few seats for each workshop, but yeah, we try to make priority for people who are wanting to fly in. So definitely let us know there. And we've started actually planning 2024. And it's wild because we've never been in this situation where we have like well over 100 proposals for the next year, and it's only October of the current year. So it's wild the amount of interest we have from teachers and potential teachers. So we're trying to narrow down the 2024 proposals. We've got 14 workshops to schedule that we've narrowed down for next year, and they're really, really exciting. Obviously, we're picking out the best of the best that we can from all of these proposals, and we wish we could record them all because they're all really great, but we're just kind of narrowing it down. So we'll be scheduling 2024 like as soon as, or this month. So that's pretty exciting. And then we just dropped CSS Projects today. So if you check out the website frontendmasters.com/courses, we dropped CSS Projects today, and the idea is that each project has project files, and even if you didn't watch the course and you wanted to build it, let's say you wanted to build it with Tailwind or something, or you wanted to build it however you want to build it, the idea is you build the CSS project, and then November 1st we're actually going to check out any of your solutions. So if you build a project and you want to share your solution, or if you've changed it at all or any way, whatever, like post it in the Discord, in the CSS channel or members or wherever. And when you complete those, post it there. And then on November 1st, Jen is going to take a look at those solutions and kind of, point out feedback or things that she liked or maybe have missed or whatever. I think, I'll see if I can take a look at some of those projects too, and see what we can pull out of them as far as like lessons learned outside of the course. And then maybe we can even like feature some of those solutions like back inside the course. So like a community solutions page. It depends on like how popular this is, right? So we have a set of project files. If you build them, post your solutions and they're great, we're going to minimally put it in the documentation under community solutions. But if we get a lot of community solutions and participation, then maybe we can do a lot more with it. So look out for that. We're going to send out some more details tomorrow. But the CSS Projects course website and files are linked in the annotation in the course. If you go to, I think it's like projects.css.education is the projects.css.education is the website. That's the course website with all the project files. And so there's 5 projects on there, and it'll be cool to see if it, what kind of participation we get from that, and if we can make some additional content with y'all's solutions. So Thomas says, I took the entire VIM course and use Vim and VS Code daily. use mainly the movement in the first section or two. So that's cool. That's awesome that it helps even your VS Code skills because you can navigate with Vim motions. That's pretty sweet. It's a good way to use it. So yeah, we're excited about the CSS Projects course, and we'll take a look at all the solutions on November 1st. So that'll be fun. We'll probably do that here on Discord. And then lots of new courses, tons of new courses. So we have the hardware and Arduino course. Honestly, if you just watch the promo of that one, it's super fun. I think it's the most fun promo I've ever watched because he literally, like at the end of it, it's kind of like spoiler alert, but he takes a dial and is able to like turn up and down the brightness of a web page like with a physical, dial, which that's pretty sweet. Like integrating web code with actual hardware and like physical buttons. I think it's really cool what you can do with hardware in JavaScript. So it does require like $100 Arduino kit, but it's the base Arduino kit that is super popular. So it's a great way to get started with hardware. And then we also did a really fun course with getting kids into coding. That course we're releasing for free. We're going to post the full course on YouTube as well. And, I took it with my son. So I was sitting like right behind me here with my son, and we built projects. And Steve Kinney had a bunch of different projects. He had interactive story projects, building games, like basic physics, all sorts of stuff in that. It was pretty dang awesome. It was really, really fun. And then the product management course is out there. Brian Holt talks a lot about his journey from development into product management, managing VS Code and etc. He talks a lot about his journey on the podcast, which that's a shout out for our podcast. We released 4 episodes. Yeah, 4 episodes. One with Brian Holt, Steve Kinney, Jen Kramer, and then the latest one we just posted last week with Mishko Avery. We talked about his story with testing and performance, and then obviously creating AngularJS and then Quick. So it's a really fun episode, and yeah, that's up on YouTube. But then also we posted it just now, I guess earlier today, on both Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So take a look at our podcast. It's a lot of fun. And then, updated Electron. People were asking about that for a while, especially on Discord, and we just updated it, so it's great. And then CSS Foundations, and then another free course on getting a software dev job. But we found that, a lot of people learning on Frontend Masters, they might be in between jobs, they might be upskilling, so it's just kind of like, hey, this is a great free course for everyone, really. If you're looking to get into the industry or you're looking to just brush up on your resume, find other opportunities, it's a great free resource that we put out for everyone. So I think that's it with Frontend Masters updates. Let's talk about some industry news. So I had a lot of fun with the State of HTML. I don't know if any of you have taken the State of HTML survey. I don't know, it was pretty fun because it kind of feels like more of a quiz or test where it's like, hey, here's all these web platform features and if you've used them or not. And it turns out I've used a lot of them, but I also read MDN for fun. So I don't know what that says about me. I literally pull up MDN some days and just see if there's anything that I can find that I haven't learned about or read about. It's I don't know. It's fun for me. So yeah, check out State of HTML. It's great. Test your knowledge, and then you get kind of a score at the end of all the features that you know versus hadn't heard about or want to learn about. And then Bun 1.0 was released. Be interested to know if any of you in the Discord have really played around with it at all. But what's interesting about it is, for obvious reasons, the JavaScript ecosystem has, a bad rap for being complex. There's a lot of there's different ways to import modules. There's the build pipeline. There's, TypeScript and having to transpile it and all of these different things. And the idea, at least, on paper, I haven't heard of anybody like really using it a ton yet, but I like the whole goal of bringing all of these under one roof. And they are trying to make they're trying to make Bun a complete drop-in replacement for Node. So if anything doesn't work in Bun that does work in Node, they actually consider that a bug in Bun, which is actually a really cool project goal, I think. And I've seen, some really, interesting dialogue on Twitter about this. They seem to be pretty dedicated to make that happen. So I know they closed like a recent bug with, I think it was crypto libraries or something like that, where they're like, hey, if it works in Node and it doesn't work in Bun, that's a bug. So they're actually trying to fix this. And then, it looks like someone in Discord just said that uses it all the time for local development, but not comfortable deploying it. And I think that's a pretty level-headed perspective, because, that's what they say about the bleeding edge. It's like, it's fun, but it can definitely, cut you. So, I have seen some weird bugs with people trying to test it for performance and stuff like that. So, I wouldn't feel super comfortable deploying it, but, it's cool seeing a lot of people actually adopt it and use it and report bugs. Maybe it'll get there soon. And that'd be great for the whole ecosystem to have something that's fast and reliable and integrates all of these tools and has TypeScript out of the box and etc. I know I recently tried to create like a Node project that used TypeScript, and it's like there's a 1,000 ways to do it. So it'd be nice. I know Dino has been out for a while that has TypeScript out of the box, and I think it's great. I don't have too much other to say about that. TypeScript Documentary went through it, and it was pretty cool, pretty interesting. I like these kind of new documentaries they've been doing. I know there's a React one a while back, and I don't know, the Honeypot people have been putting, there's a Vue documentary. I think that was my favorite one out of all of them, was the Vue one. But I like this whole trend of like high quality documentaries about the industry. I think it's pretty sweet. So check out the TypeScript one if you haven't already. It's pretty cool. There's a lot of the early contributors from Microsoft and stuff like that on there. It's pretty sweet. And then a couple more items. So Andy Bell released his new modern CSS reset, and I thought that was pretty cool because there's like little code snippets in there that you can see the reasoning behind choosing to reset certain things. And I think it's a good like educational piece about how the current state of browsers in CSS right now. I know at Frontend Masters we're looking to potentially just completely cut out any sort of build step with our CSS and just use vanilla CSS. We're looking into Lightning CSS as well. That's like a new transpiler that's kind of, I don't know, reminds me of a lightweight like post CSS. But it'd be great to just use CSS directly now that we have like browser supports, nesting and variables and stuff like that. It's pretty great. I think the only thing I really miss with modern CSS is the not being able to use variables in media queries. I think is the most annoying thing for me. But I think if we stick to just a few like standards around that, I think we could migrate to vanilla modern CSS pretty quickly. Check out the reset. There's a lot of cool things in there that I didn't know. And then lastly, Vercel dropped this V0 project, which uses AI, generation to generate, UIs or whatever, UI components and that kind of thing. And it uses, I think most of what I'm seeing, it's like mostly like a tailwind and React thing. I think although you can take a look at the raw HTML and CSS, but in general, all of the things that I've seen it generate are pretty pretty boilerplate-y, but I think that's, the nature of AI. It needs to start somewhere, and I think in general, I could definitely see, it speeding up things, being able to mock things up, or like, small projects or whatever you want to, quickly put up a landing page or a prototype or whatever. I could definitely see that being super useful, even in its current state. But it'll be interesting to see the future of that. I know I just was playing around with like Photoshop's generative features or whatever that they just dropped on their latest version of Photoshop, and it works really well. It's really incredible that you can like just select the sky and change it to like a sunrise or something like that. It's pretty incredible. I think these tools are, both will enable us to do a lot more. Obviously, we, a lot of us use, Copilot and, ChatGPT to an extent, but it'll be interesting to see like, how we can like generate, at least something to start with instead of, starting from scratch on every project. We can at least generate kind of the bare bones and then work with it on top of that. So it'll be interesting to see the future of those tools for sure. So I think that's all I have. Any final questions before you spin this down? Okay. We do have one on Twitch. CSS is something I ended up using way less than I thought I would in a professional setting. Interesting. Yeah, it depends on the engineering that you do, right? If you're doing mostly like application development or application engineering, like you're building web-based software, I think, yeah, a lot of it is, state management and making things functionally working and wrangling data in the right way and talking with the back-end team. It's not a whole lot of CSS. It just depends on your type of role. Like me personally, a lot of the development that I do is on frontendmasters.com, the website, and a lot of the stuff that people interact with. And so a lot of my work does end up being CSS. Like I created the theme for the blog or whatever. I did that, from scratch in HTML and CSS. And so I think it really just depends on the type of UI developer you are. Are you more of like a classic JavaScript engineer that's working on software and architecting, unit tests and state and data and, building those kind of applications? Or are you a, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript developer where you're working on the actual public websites and documentation websites and the marketing, supporting designs and doing interactive layouts and that kind of thing? It really depends on what type of job or role you were looking for. I personally I've done both sides of things. So I've built like super large apps, actually quite a lot of large apps in finance and real estate and, all these different industries where it's like just a dashboard that you log into and it has to work correctly. But I think where I do actually take a lot of joy in that side of things. But then I had a lot of jobs where I'm like at an agency and they're throwing some like crazy design at me and I need to make it work. And, it has a lot of animations and interactions. And, that's where I found that it was like really, really, really fun for me. I really like that side of things. So I guess I have both sides. Like I can do the UI UX marketing style of development, and I can also do the hardcore, just make this thing fast and integrate APIs and into a giant central dashboard that can do lots and lots of things. But I do feel like those, I don't know what the delineation is between those two roles. Like I would say one is more of like a UI UX developer, whereas the other one's like a JavaScript engineer. I guess that's how I would call it in my mind, but I wonder what you guys would think as far as what type of job description fits the role. Yeah, so component libraries are just so prevalent. Yeah, there are a lot of component libraries out there. There's definitely, I think like Shad CDN is the one that everybody's all hyped about currently because it uses like Radix under the hood, and Radix can be styled in any way and has just the functionality built into it. But yeah, these things go back a long, long ways. Like Bootstrap was obviously the first, component library, and there's been lots and lots of iterations of trying to make standardized UI components across the industry. So yeah, if you're focused on building dashboard apps, you're probably going to use one of these UI component libraries. Whereas if it's something where you really need the control over the design, you're going to really need to understand how to customize these things with CSS. And yeah, so if you're an application dashboard developer type behind the login wall, like, you're going to probably use one of these libraries. Yeah, it says for me it's like B2B app development, full on MUI and backend integration is most of the job, just getting the information to show up. Yep. Yeah, that's what I would call like a class of developer that's, JavaScript engineer really is dealing with the data and wiring it up to these components and that kind of thing. Whereas, somebody who's like a UI UX engineer or design systems engineer is going to have to think about those actual components, building those components custom and making them look, correctly. So yeah, there's a lot of different roles in the space, and there's a lot of areas that you can focus on. But yeah, I definitely love I even built components. Like I created the jQuery UI date picker, and back in the day I built lots and lots of UI components. I loved that part of the job. But yeah, there's a lot of jobs these days that are, taking existing component libraries, integrating them in, and making sure you're wiring up the data to those components. So, all right, well, I think that's all I have today. We went through Frontend Masters updates. We answered some questions. We talked about the industry. I think it's been a good hangout. So, yeah, thanks everybody for joining, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.